I do want to go to what's happening in New York today as well, because Harry Hutchinson, first of all, they had a tough time with jurors on day one of this. They started out with nearly 100 people. 50 were out immediately. They just raised their hand and said, I cannot be impartial. And that could be because you don't like him, you do like him, but that's it. They didn't even need to ask more questions. I think they found 6 or 7 people, but they've got to get it up to 18 because you have to have 12 jurors and 6 alternates. Usually you can get this done in a couple of weeks, but if this starts slowing down even more today, it just shows how difficult it is for President Trump to get a fair jury trial in the city of New York.
Absolutely. And we got some recent news suggesting that the existing jury pool of 7 has now been reduced to 6 because one of the jurors has basically reneged on her commitment to be impartial, number one, and then number 2, she is afraid that her identity has been disclosed, placing her under personal pressure. I believe that if that news begins to spread, it will be more and more difficult to assemble a jury pool of 18 individuals, number one. But number 2, I also think it's extremely difficult for the American people to be completely impartial with respect to Donald Trump. You either have an opinion for or against him, and probably the most solid basis of selecting jury members is to simply go out there and find individuals that have been in a coma for the last 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, I mean, they're saying it's not like they tried to say it's not like we're saying you are or you're not going to vote for him. But I mean, if you ask somebody if they're going to be impartial or not, and I knew I was going to vote for or against someone, I would probably raise my hand saying I can't be impartial if I think they should be the next president. So it's kind of hard to divide that up. This case they want done by November. Now, early November is the election. So if they want it done by the election, I mean, they're talking the first week, maybe 8-9 days into November. Do you see them possibly trying to fast track it to get it there just to hurt Donald Trump?
Absolutely. So if you look at the Manhattan prosecutor, Alvin Bragg, I think that is his purpose. I think any objective legal analyst recognizes that this particular trial does not make legal sense. It does make political sense. And there is a huge distinction. So what Alvin Bragg has done is he has bootstrapped misdemeanor cases and then created a felony case with respect to a federal crime with respect to campaign finance violations or alleged violations. But basically what we have is a misdemeanor trial, and this trial should be either dismissed or it should be over in a short period of time, and perhaps Donald Trump, even if he were found guilty, would have to pay a fine. One of the issues in this particular trial is the fact that Donald Trump is kept off the campaign trail, and that is one of the purposes. At the end of the day, however, Donald Trump will perhaps suffer harm politically if he's convicted, even in New York, even if most Americans agree that the jury panel is biased. But I think at the end of the day, the American people will be realistic about the choices they face between Biden and Trump. And I think at the end of the day, the American people will be very realistic about the choices they face, and hopefully they will make the right one.
A second juror has now been dismissed from the Trump hush money trial. We knew one was dismissed, so now we've got a second. So they got up to, I think it was 7. You've got to get 18 because you have to get 6 alternates plus 12 jurors, and they were up to 7. I guess now they're down to 5 as they start today with another 90 or so people. So again, it doesn't like they will finish it out this week. Sometimes this does take a couple weeks. What happens if it doesn't? Now, we've actually got questions about that coming in. Bill in Wyoming on line 1. Welcome to Seculo. You're on the air.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. Yeah, that is my question. If they can't get anybody to get on the jury, how many times do they have to go through that before they got to quit, or even President Trump's team could actually say, hey, we need a change in venue?
Yeah, I think, again, the second part may be the issue. It's not they're going to quit. They're not going to drop their case because they can't get this jury. It may bring up a change of venue issue, because if you continue to go back and you can't even get to the 18 in the size of the city of New York, one of the largest populated cities in the United States of America, and if you can't find 18 people who feel like they can be impartial, and again, you got to find 12 to serve as jurors, 6 who can serve as alternates, then you do have to look at like potential other places potentially to hold the trial. We knew this was going to be an issue for President Trump, not just because it was in New York, but also because you had the judicial system, the politics of New York, and the fact that 88% of New Yorkers are registered Democrats. So they already have this kind of anti-Trump view that, hey, I'm not voting for this guy. I think he's the wrong guy to be president. And they tried to say that shouldn't matter. That shouldn't impact whether you could be impartial or not. But I think most people who hear that, when they decided, could I be impartial or not, they would raise their hand if they think that there's someone who is definitely going to campaign against him or definitely going to campaign for him, and being honest, that they couldn't really be impartial. It'd be pretty hard to separate that out, considering these trials have become so politically charged. I mean, even when you hear Bill Barr saying, this is like bootstrapping laws to try and make felonies out of low-level misdemeanors. Neil called in from Texas online too. Hey, Neil.
Hey, Jordan. Thanks for taking the call. I am just calling because of frustration, and I can only imagine Trump's frustration and other people's frustration. But my question is, why can we not turn the horns around those who are deliberate, those who are lying, those who are bearing false witness, those who are even putting it in writing and making it liable? How come we can't take and put if you want to accuse Jordan Seculo of such and such and you're wrong and you're causing him pain and harm, where's the consequence? And so we're just seeing the repeat, but I'm not seeing anybody get put behind bars for outright trying to harm not only individuals, but this nation.
No, I mean, you saw, Weisselberg, the COO or CFO, is doing 6 months, again, over whether or not the filings were correct, and they were trying to, flip him to go after President Trump, and he was unwilling to do so. I mean, they're huge companies. And again, the focus, the amount of resources that you have, not just the New York DA, New York City DA, you've got the New York Attorney General, you've got the Fulton County DA, and you've got a special prosecutor in Florida and New York, Jack Smith, going after President Trump, spending hundreds of millions of dollars when you combine all of that to try and take him down before the election, or at least dirty him up enough that people are scared to vote for him as president, even if they want to.